Hello, everyone. This is Anu Laur, the head of Corporate Handling and Content Department from the Roundtable Kirodimal College. And
Hello, this is Mohit Mittal, member of the Corporate and Handling and Content Department from the Roundtable Kirodimal College.
I am Ajay Kaul, editor in chief with you and I.
everyone, I warmly welcome you all on the behalf of the entire college to the second episode of our limited interview series of October on the theme of War's Echoes. Our society, the Roundtable, is centered on the motto of dialogue across disciplines and strives to bring a holistic understanding of ourselves and the world around us, mainly by engaging in interdisciplinary interaction and dialogue. Hence, today we have with us a experienced editor in chief, Mr. Ajay Kaul. A very good evening, sir, and thank you for joining us for an exclusive interview on a sad yet crucial topic of warfare.
He currently holds a position of editor in chief of the United News of India, one of the credible news agencies of India, since June 2021. Previously, he had worked with APN News Channel as executive managing editor. Apart from it, he also did the debate show, The Agenda, every weekday at 8 p.m. He has a great experience in reporting, editing, team leadership, management, etc. Moreover, he writes on topics ranging from internal issues, international relations, security issues, etc. Sir, can you please provide us with your journey, how you got into journalism, your current role as an editor in chief of United News of India? Sir.
So, thank you both for inviting me to the program. It's a pleasure to talk to you and your other colleagues about, as you said, it's a very sad topic, but I mean, it's a very prevalent topic which you cannot just brush aside. So, you asked me about journalism, when I started journalism, how I started journalism. So, let me tell you about the journalism uh, the seeds were sown when I was in college or maybe before that, because always gave me a kick. So it always had that special info that what's happening around us in locality or maybe the broader spectrum, and internationally what's happening at large. Because many times we maybe discount that what's happening at the global level or international level far away may not be of interest to me or may not impact me. But more often than not, it has been found that even something happening in maybe far away in Syria or somewhere else will have impact somewhere on us. Maybe the degree may differ, but the impact will be there. That is, I mean, that is the nature of this globalized world, particularly right now. So I joined journalism in 1994 in formal manner. So first job I got was in there used to be a newspaper called The Patriot. It was a socialist newspaper, very popular at that time, but then it declined and later on it shut down. Then I had a very brief stint with the Statesman newspaper, but then I got the job in. At the same time, I got a job offer from PTI. So I chose PTI, where I spent almost. So I joined PTI in 1995. So I spent almost more than 24 years, 23 and a half years there. And I joined as a trainee. Then I grew in the ranks. I then became sub-editor. I became reporter. I became correspondent, special correspondent, chief reporter. Then I covered diplomacy, international. I was chief diplomatic editor. Then I became bureau chief. Then I became editor. So it has been a journey. Then I went joined ANI. Then I had a brief stint with IANS. Then APN, as you mentioned. Then the current role, UNI. So this has been my journey. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with those words about your journey and everything. So, without wasting any time, we would like to actually talk about the topic in hand today. And, sir, since you said that you have specialization on diplomatic affairs and international affairs, security issues, etc., so what are your views regarding India's foreign image evolving during times of conflict? And what factors do you think or you believe that play a major role in shaping these images, like how India takes different stances. For example, India has this policy of being neutral since a long period of time, and in terms of Russia, Ukraine, also it decided to be neutral, but then it also faced criticism with respect to that. So what are your views regarding this?
So starting with criticism, see, there will always be views. Everybody has their own positions and interests of viewing your position, isn't it? So at the end of the day, India has to take a position, which already always most of the time India has taken. That what I mean, our interests, whether they are safeguarded, whether they are served, or whether they are affected. So those things actually drive the foreign policy of India, and it has been. If we start from the independence era, like we have been non-aligned, we have been very active participants of the erstwhile. If you know about non-aligned movement, there used to be. It was the third world countries which used to. I mean, in those bipolar at that time, there was a bipolar world. One on one side there was the US-led coalition, and another was the USSR-led system. So India was among those who, although we had very close relationship with USSR, very strategic relations with Russia, Soviet Union, that's why. But at the same time, we had maintained a very neutral position as I mentioned. We were very active participants of or drivers of the non-aligned movement. So that position, India has now the format may have changed because non-aligned movement as a forum it has declined or because after the collapse of Soviet Union, USSR, there is only one polar world now. Yes, America-led system, as they say. So non-aligned movement also lost its relevance. But at the same time, so India has still maintained that stance uh, driven from this non-aligned system. So that is why we always take a position which is kind of neutral, not being. If you see even in this Israel Gaza fight also, it has it's a tight rope walk or as you say. Because see, you have to think about broader. I mean, as I mentioned, interest India's interests, how interests are served and are affected if we take the side of one party or another party. So that is why it has to be a balanced position, balanced view. And I will say India has been successful, even if you see Russia-Ukraine war. India has been successful in maintaining this. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you see the policy of nations using sanctions and economic pressure as the tools for coercive diplomacy during conflicts? So, what would be the unintended consequences of these economic sanctions on the target and imposing nations? So, what are your views regarding this?
So as we talk about sanctions is also it's it's a flawed system, and it has not actually served the purpose for which sanctions are actually meant. So you impose suppose UN Security Council or somebody imposes sanctions on a country. So those sanctions actually affect the common people who have nothing to do with. They are not the leaders who don't decide policies. They have nothing to do with wars or conflict or something. So if you give, I'll give an example of maybe Myanmar in our neighborhood. So a military regime takes over. So America and other countries are imposing sanctions. But who is affected? The military regime is not affected. It is the common people. Maybe if you talk about Iran or any other country, it has. I mean, sanctions hit the worst those people who have nothing to do with all. I mean, common people, civilians. They have nothing to do with, but they have to go through price rise or shortage of commodities and other things because of the sanctions. So it's all upside. I mean, it's a fraud. It's a, sanctions are all fraud, not the means to achieve your goals, what you are targeted. So that is my view about the sanctions.
Right, sir. I do agree that sanctions actually did not bring much of an output in terms of how EU put sanctions on Russia, and I guess there was actually useless. But in terms of actually coming
See,
to a conclusion,
I will add to that. The sanction regime, this has been in place for 75 years since 1945. This UNO came into existence. So has it achieved anything? Even the UN also should maybe sometime do some brainstorming about it. Have these imposition of sanctions achieved the targets which were achieved, what objectives you wanted to achieve? They should also do some studies about that, isn't it?
right, sir, you mentioned UN. UN, the whole idea about UN established was to stop wars and etc. Right? Do you think it has been able to fulfill its purpose and is being useful anyway?
No, UN is a failed body. I have always been saying it, but I used to say in my program, UN, United Nations, is a failed body. It is a toothless body. It is governed by some powerful people. They dictate what we have to do, and it has no voice for the huge, maybe hundreds of countries, maybe 120 countries, 130 countries, who are most vulnerable, who are actually facing the brunt of all that is being done by the powerful people. Even if you talk about climate change or anything, so but they have no voice in the UN. It's a I call it a talk shop. You go and talk in 2 minutes. You say something about something. It is recorded in the proceeding. That's it. It's over. Nobody bothers after that. Suppose if we talk about, we have been talking about sanctions. Sanctions. UNSC has been imposing sanctions on terrorists in our neighborhood, Pakistan. Those people are roaming freely. What has the UN done? They have not done anything. It has not achieved objectives. So what is UN? UN has failed. It's a failed body.
Right, sir. In terms of terrorists, etc., organizations, we believe a large amount of wars actually, like the root cause comes out to be terrorism and such, right? India does a lot of airstrike. India did airstrike on non-state actors in Pakistan, and these states basically try to say disassociate themselves from these non-state actors. So, sir, how do you think is like? Do you think airstrike is actually a legit technique to tackle terrorism at this point in time?
No, in a limited surgical strike, if you say maybe it's a maybe one off, but as you mentioned, it can lead to wars. So if you take the present situation in what's happening in Gaza, so what I have been feeling in my analysis, my assessment is Hamas as a terrorist organization. So they have achieved what they wanted by doing for whatever they did in 2 days. They wanted to bring Palestine or maybe the Arab world or the Gulf countries and face to face with Israel and West US. So they have achieved that. So by carrying out that carnage, whatever they did, see if you go into the background, relations between Arab countries and Israel were improving on the upswing recently over last 1 or 2 years. Saudi Arabia, UAE were all trying to improve relations with Israel. And now this situation was that we're going to take it further, like at the G20 summit recently in Delhi. Now there was a project was announced that they will corridor from India to Middle East and to Europe. Very ambitious. So how could that be achieved? That could be achieved only when there is peace and Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Arab countries are working together. Okay. So what does it mean? So Hamas cause or the Palestinian cause that having that statehood or referendum and right to self determination goes into the back burner. So it doesn't suit them. So it doesn't suit them. So they wanted some chaos. So they wanted chaos. They created chaos. They sparked that, and now you see what the chaos is taking place. So leave us at that part. In our country or in our neighborhood, as we say, we call them Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed and all that non-state actors Pakistan state. But we know they are state actors. They are the extended tool of the foreign service, foreign policy of Pakistan, or maybe the extended arm of the military of Pakistan. So, if I tell you examples over last, because I will be covering foreign affairs, I will be covering strategy affairs. So there are many instances when these so-called state non-state actors, which are basically the extended arm of military, Pakistani military. Repeatedly, they have tried to sabotage improvement of relations, political relations between India and Pakistan. So I can give you so many instances because even when we talk about 2008 attack, uh, I know I was covering that day. I remember that day when the attacks took place. Just before, hours before that, we had a joint press conference by foreign ministers of India and Pakistan. Pakistan foreign minister was here in India, and there were a lot of announcements of confidence building measures. I covered just before that. I was reporting on that. I was doing story on that when this unfolded, that attack taken place in Mumbai. So there were a lot of, there were moves to build relations. I mean, having confidence building measures. And what happened? There was an attack, and it all got down the drain. Before that, 2005, when there was foreign minister again in India, and there was a blast in Samjhauta Express. Again, there was fighting between India and Pakistan and all that. So it was the goodwill or the good atmosphere is destroyed, spoiled. So similar things happened in 2001, or similar thing happened in Kargil. If you remember 1999, our Prime Minister Vajpayee, he took a bus service to build for the confidence building, building relations when Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister. And what they did, military and their associates, Lashkar Taiba and others, they tried attack in Kargil and they launched that attack. So again, derailing these relations. So because these elements, what I have always believed, they want India and Pakistan to go to war. They want chaos. These elements enjoy when this chaos takes place. And that is why they keep trying that. Yeah, tell me.
Okay. Sir, just as we know that you have great experience of writing of nuclear weapons, I have a question that with the introduction of nuclear weapons in the modern world and the possibility of the non-state actors acquiring them, what challenges does the modern world do occupy with the deterrence and disarmament of the nuclear weapons in the modern world?
See, with the modernization and evolution of science, it's not only nuclear. You talk about biological, and you talk about chemical weapons. Chemical weapons can be used by anybody, but at least nuclear weapons are in a maybe in a proper format, in a formalized manner. There is a nuclear plant where you have to upgrade the uranium and all those things, which is you cannot hide. But see, if you chemical warfare is more dangerous than that. If you want to kill thousands of people, just use that. But as you mentioned about that nuclear weapons falling in the hands of small state, it's always dangers are always there, and challenges. It's not a challenge; it's a danger. It's dangerous. But I guess the world powers or maybe those. See, one important part is that nuclear knowledge about nuclear weapons is very limited. Okay, I believe that even if non-state actors get a hold of some nuclear bomb or nuclear uh, some product, so how will they use it? So they have to first actually go through training or something like this. And I think the world is cognizant of this. If we talk about even Pakistan, I think America and other forces, particularly America, is taking good care about that. So that the most of the important, the risk is in Pakistan, where these non-state actors are roaming freely, and there are a lot of plenty of them, and who will love to use that. But do they have the knowledge how to use it? Because it can affect them also. No, it's not nuclear weapons. Is not that it affects others also, only. It affects you also because the range is so huge and big, and India and Pakistan being close neighbors, we are not like Russia and USA. If we carry out a nuclear bomb attack in Russia, we are safe in USA. So if you carry out a nuclear bomb attack in maybe New Delhi, Lahore will also be affected. So it's not, they know it. It's not that easy. They know it.
Right, sir. Sir, I totally agree. In nuclear weapons, in terms of states, etc., it acts like a deterrent also. Because if two states have nuclear weapons, then they're cautious about each other. But then it becomes problematic for states which do not have nuclear weapons and are kind of like less on resources and etc. But sir, majorly talking about how you talked about powerful people, right? Say, generally in today's world, if we were to consider major powers, we'll talk about USA, Russia, and China. I think, and India trying to be a global South leader at the present. So, do you think that in terms of these big, powerful people emerging, what do you think is like a better world for, say, reduction of war? A multipolar world where there's large amount of, say, different countries exercising power, or a bipolar or a unipolar world?
No, I think multipolar world is always good. I mean, it's because if there is only one power, that will dictate everything in the world. And as we talk about rules-based international order, as we talk, everybody talks about rules-based international order. But who has defined that? If I mean, America carries out attacks in Iraq on the pretext of having nuclear weapons and destroys that country, or USA destroys Libya on some pretext of maybe removing Gaddafi. Where is the rule-based international order then? So then why are you attacking Russia for attacking Ukraine? So you should have that morality. You should first set an example, isn't it? So you are not following that rules-based international order in maybe Syria. You see what's happening in Syria. You see what's happening in Iraq. Iraq has been destroyed. It used to be a very affluent country, very rich country. Libya. You see the present and past. If you see photographs, videos of the past, how well off and developed country it was. So after the Americans attacked them, uh, where is the international rules-based order? Who will punish them? So America has got warrants issued against Putin. Who will get warrants issued against Mr. Bush, who destroyed Iraq? So if in this, because we have a situation where there is only one power, which is most powerful, called America, so it dictates terms. But I guess after maybe 10 years, 20 years, this game is going to change. We will again be having multipolar world, and you never know this Israel Gaza war or what's happening there. Maybe the trigger or maybe the start. That's my view.
Right, sir. In terms of how you talk about, say, USA majorly being involved in wars and etc., do you think it's a choice for USA? Because everyone look up to USA as a humanitarian model, right? Everyone wants that USA to interfere and just make sure that wars don't happen. So indirectly or directly, USA becomes a part of war and the way war have been opening, etc. Do you think that?
No, no, I don't think. I think that is the right assessment to make. If you see the example of Iraq, I remember I covered that. America declared that Saddam Hussein is having nuclear bomb and he's going to blast it anywhere, somewhere. And just before the days, I maybe just days before the attack, I remember an IAEA team, which is the watchdog, you must be knowing, International Atomic Energy Agency, Vienna based. So they went to Iraq and they gave a report in writing that there are no nuclear weapons in Iraq. Despite that, America attacked them. I mean, invaded them and they destroyed the country. Nobody called them there. Iraq did not invite them. Or if you say
Right, sir.
same thing happened in Libya, or what's happening in Syria, if you know about Syria, Russia and America are involved in a proxy war where one Russia is trying to protect the regime there, and America is helping the rebels there, or the militants or terrorists, which you otherwise will be calling terrorists. They are helping them in so that they can destroy the regime. Yes.
Right, sir. Totally agreed. There are wars which USA initiated in itself by, say, either they wanted to like
Just to
make certain
demonstrate,
attention.
yeah, they have initiated these wars just to demonstrate that we are the world policeman, that we have a right to
Yeah.
intervene and interfere everywhere. So that has been,
Right.
except for maybe Afghanistan, when they, it was a kind of reaction to the 2011 attack. But even there, I'll give an example. So we knew that Al Qaeda was more prevalent, its presence was more in, where did we find Osama bin Laden? That was in Pakistan. So why did America carry out an attack on Pakistan? Why did they carry out attack on Afghanistan? So these have been, duplicitous approaches by America. Or anyway, even Russia is doing the same. Although because whoever has power, they misuse that. That has been the tragedy of this world.
Totally agreed, sir. And sir, I do have a question from you. So, how does the nations learn lessons from all these conflicts and the consequences of the conflicts that occurred in the past? And how do we work on the peacemaking and the networking part in the world? So, can we imagine a world without wars in the future?
I don't think we can imagine a world without wars. With this, go into history, wars have been part of this world, and they have taken place in one shape or another shape. So you may be having wars between two countries, you may be having wars between state authorities and rebels, militias, which you call, or but as you, we all know, I mean, we are all conscious about it. Wars bring no benefits to anybody, isn't it? I mean, when now we see after the Ukraine war or the Russian invasion in Ukraine, it has a global impact. No, how the economies of the world or the global economy has now is uh, reducing or affected, is hurt badly. And I, we are now reading about maybe some of the European countries will go into recession. Why? Because of the wars. And now this Gulf War is also started. Or Gulf War or whatever you say, Israel, Gaza, it will escalate. My view is that it will increase. It is just unfolding. It is it is it's a long war. And so
Right,
what
sir.
so what will be the repercussions? It will be again inflation, destruction of assets, infrastructure in those countries where it is affecting. But we will also be affected by supply chain disruption, which will raise prices of commodities, particularly if we talk about fuel, which comes from the Gulf countries. So it will have impact on us. That's what I'm saying. So impact is now because it's a global world, interconnected world. So anything happening in one part has impact on others. The degrees, as I mentioned in the initial part, they differ, but impact will be there. So we only hope that we can only hope, and that is the only thing, that
True, sir.
peace will prevail and leaders. After all, it is one leader who decides, or leaders, few leaders who decide the fate of so many billions and millions of people. So let us hope that
Right, sir.
sanity prevails.
Said, sir. Totally agreed. They are just like these few leaders deciding on the fate of millions and billions of people. And I also do agree that war is something that is inevitable. The way the war might be occurring might change because, like, earlier it was used to be so physical, but now it's all about nuclear weapons and, say, bio warfare has been also something that we are seeing
No,
nowadays.
it will go into
So,
space
the
now.
type of wars,
Future will be space wars. You see
yeah,
now, you see if you see the attacks taking place right now, like air raids and all that. Now, what did the Hamas use? Hamas used drones. Hamas used paragliders. So it is taking different shapes. War is not, I mean, it's taking different shapes. And it will go into those spaces. Yeah, I wanted to add this point. Yeah,
Yeah, moreover, the worst part of the war, I think, is the part that the most affected are the people who doesn't have to do anything with the war.
exactly.
I mean, the people who are leading to wars are just chilling, and the poor people of the poor countries are suffering the most due to the supply chain crisis and the food shortage and increasing oil prices.
That is one part. But if you say it's the affected areas, the war, suppose if we talk about Gaza or right now, what's happening, or if we recent there was Armenia or Azerbaijan wars, although limited, although it was limited for a few days. But if you are read, So many millions of people were dislocated, were homeless, so they became refugees. So even in that, or maybe if you talk about Afghanistan, so many people refugees without any houses where do they go. So and children are dying who have no, who have nothing to do. They don't even know what's happening in the world. If you see it right now with images and all that, they don't know what's happening in the
Right,
world. They
sir.
don't know, but they are killed. They die. Yeah.
Totally agreed, sir. The poor people are the ones which suffer a lot, and in terms of refugees as well, we've seen that in terms of say in during war crisis or etc. There are camps etc. which is established for helping these people out. But then again, no one is ready to take in refugees, especially developed countries. We believe about various threats they believe that might be coming from refugees. So, in terms of this idea, that can we say that how majorly in terms of how you said USA is someone who tries to take benefit and just thinks about themselves in even in war crisis. Can we consider this kind of like a modern colonialism?
No, it's not colonialism. I don't think people now can afford colonialism because when you launch a war, even see America was in Afghanistan for maybe a decade or so, but after that they had to go back. They had to leave the country. You cannot hold any country. It's like earlier in maybe 18th century, 19th century, 18th century. That system has, I mean, that concept is over colonizing any country. So, but you will try to, I mean, colonization physically, I would say, but colonizing in the economic sense, but financially, yes, that will be taking place. That is taking place. So, take the example of China. So, China is maybe not waging direct wars or aggressive wars, throwing missiles, but they are colonizing many countries, Africa, even our Maldives, also Sri Lanka, part of it, through monetary means. So that is a new shape of maybe colonization, if you may say so.
Right, sir. China has been putting countries like Sri Lanka in debt trap to make as much profit as they can for themselves.
Now, to become a colony, you
And
are the after that you become subservient to their whatever they say they have to dictate. Yeah.
right, sir. Totally agreed. Sir, on those lines, we see that large amount of conflicts today are majorly happening on land, right? If we consider India, Pakistan, we consider India, China. China does not consider Jammu and Kashmir a part of India at all. I think they're trying to say get into India and so that particular say the idea about how there was a say a small conflict at LOC as well, and India Pakistan issue is already existing. So do you think that these like these mistakes in terms of how say British did not actually define the border of India in a clear manner that has led to these conflicts? So in terms of this, does like these past actions of colonizers, this do still haunt people in terms of conflicts arising, war even in with respect to land Israel Palestine also. So do you think that is true and it has such a great impact even today?
Of course, I will agree to that. These colonizers have left this, uh, I'll say, the bombs which are exploding from time to time because when you talk about this India-Pakistan demarcation of borders and all that, it was a crime. It was the worst thing that could have happened. I mean, you don't slice uh, a country into two just like that. I mean, I have been giving examples. We had a border issue with Bangladesh. It was adverse enclaves, and there were some hundred enclaves, small pockets where there were some pockets where Indian population was residing in the Bangladeshi side, and some pockets where Bangladeshi population was residing in Indian side. It was resolved only in 2015. So it took 70 years or so, maybe 50 years to resolve those things because it was involved humanitarian aspect. It will involve humans. But what was done in 1947 when India was partitioned, it was the worst crime because you just sliced a country into two, saying this is India, this is Pakistan, now go to hell. Now you decide. That is why we had this chaos, that is why we had these killings, that is massacres and movement, this genocide. and this mass movement of people, dislocation, all because of Britishers.
Agreed,
And I,
sir.
I will and I will make a controversial statement that our leaders agreed to it. It was too bad. They should not have agreed.
Right, sir. Agreed, actually, totally agreed. On those lines, I think we are done with questions we had. Mohit, you have any question?
Not asked us. All the queries have been asked.
Cool, cool. We have like no questions left, and I would like to officially thank Sir for enlightening us with all those experiences you had had. Just a personal note, like just a personal question. I guess you can take this as we hear a large amount of journalists going as war correspondents, right, during times of war and etc. And at times, say by I don't know, say they like by intention or without any intention, there are instances where they get harmed and where they get killed. So do you think that these reporters need like they should be provided protection extensively? Because see, these are people who are like providing information to the rest of the world, and they're actually fighting for humanitarian cause, telling about how many people have lost life in wars and etc. They provide us very important information. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I will give my thoughts is that I have covered Kargil war myself, and I survived twice. I had two narrow escapes there, so nobody could protect me. I mean, we were under protection, but we were not under protection because missiles were flying from Pakistan, and we did not know where it is falling. So we could be in the harm's way, and I survived two attempts at that time. And so it's a risk, it's a huge risk. So we had to, and when we got kind of acclimatized in that terrain, so we knew from which direction the missile will come and where likely it will fall. And one more, in fact, the hotel in which we were staying, there was only one hotel or two hotels which were operating at that time because it was the war time. Small hotel in some locality. So uh, my room, next to my room, we had photographers, two photographers, camera person, and one fine morning there was some missile attack and the bathroom toilet of that and this ceiling of the toilet of that room fell. Luckily, it happened very early in the morning, so they were not there. So they also survived. So these are always risks involved in war reporting. And
Sir,
I have also covered Kashmir. I have reported from Kashmir during peak of terrorism. So when we knew grenades are flying through anywhere could be attacked. So that also that those risks. I have seen terror attack in 2002 when terror attack took place in Kashmir, in Srinagar, in tourist reception center just before the launch of bus service. Again, one more incident, I mean, one more example of how non-state actors try to derail. So, so I am now recalling that event. So, in India and Pakistan, I mean, there was launch of Srinagar Muzaffarabad bus service to connect to allow people from the two sides of the LOC to meet their relatives, friends, and whatever who were uh, maybe separated when 1947 and all that. So just before that, one day before that, terrorists attacked the place where they had the first group of passengers were lodged. So they wanted to kill those people, those passengers. Although they all survived,
oh,
but
thank
I was witness to that attack. I was there at that time. So we have seen this. I mean, journalists do take these risks, and I think, we willingly take.
Sir, after like suffering from this, say, traumatic experience, I would say, because we as normal people won't be able to survive in like any situation like this, in Kargil war, in Kashmir, and even in this bus service
So I can tell you
situation.
about Kargil war. One incident when I said that there were missiles were landing and we just on the road, I mean on the surface, we lied down and luckily these missiles were falling some distance away. So and after that we just moved into the bunker of the army. It happened for 30 minutes. We were on the floor and on the ground. We didn't know maybe which missile is going to worst. The shrapnel may be hitting you. So that 30 minutes were like, because you are lying with the head down, you never know whether you will
True.
survive or not. And
So,
you
sir,
survive to tell the story.
and this has been such a great way. Like we are just like mesmerized by all of this happening. We literally just live within these houses built. People are like army personnel are protecting us. We never experienced stuff like this. So
No, it's
it's
very difficult
actually.
out there. I have been to LOC, I have been to line of control several places. Yeah, I cannot tell you what how difficult it is.
So, sir,
We can't even imagine here in Delhi or sitting here.
right, exactly. So that's what I was saying. It's not imaginable. It's just so, I say, impossible. So, sir, have you ever questioned the line of work that you were ever in, like because of the traumatic experiences?
No, I have volunteered to go there. I volunteered to go to Kashmir. I volunteered to go to Kargil. It's an experience. I mean, covering strategic affairs, foreign affairs. In fact, this is a, although there was risk of life, we willingly knew. We knew it. I knew it. There is risk to life. But then this is part of the game. I think I would not.
Right.
I would not have been able to tell this story if I had not gone there and taken this risk.
Right, sir. I think there's a great message in your answer, right? Don't be afraid to take risks, especially related to your passion in terms of, say, how your passion was
So
journalism.
actually, whatever is going to happen, that wasn't really जो होना होगा देखा जाएगा. Let us see.
I guess that's the attitude we all should have, especially the youth like us. जो हो देखा
Yeah.
जाएगा, जो
Yes.
होना होगा.
Yes. Yes.
With that, sir, I don't have any further questions. And I would literally like to say that thank you for sharing such a great experience of yours about how majorly these war correspondents go. And like you have been one of them in itself. And they try to spread information regarding the things that have been happening, which are very important for us. We wouldn't know what is happening until and unless people like share
So
with
if,
us.
I may like to add because this generation we have so many mobiles and other phones and equipments to convey the information. In those days, we were working with fax machine, and you can imagine one phone in that entire Kargil, and there used to be a fight, and there used to be a big struggle to even get your information conveyed to Delhi.
Right.
That was another struggle, very side struggle along with our
And
covering.
not and also not being able to contact your family members and etc. was also should have been like a problem.
No, no, there were two. There used to be one mobile. There used to be one telephone, one STD phone in that hotel, and there would be another one shop away from there. Those were the two, and we had to. Our priority was to get the stories transmitted to Delhi so that it could be
True.
transmitted. So if we get maybe 5 minutes, 2 minutes, we had to wait for 1 hour, 2 hours. So we could not even imagine कि घर पे बात करेंगे. पहले story तो करो.
I think priorities were actually set at that
So that's
point
what
in time.
communication now is so easy now. You can talk to your home also and convey your story also. So just to give that
Right.
anecdote also.
Yeah, right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with all those informations, from answering our very basic questions to like so technical questions, and also enlightening us with that experience. That experience was actually very lovely for us. It was very mesmerizing and made the whole experience a lot much more better for us and the viewers as well. So, on behalf of the whole society and the college, we would really like to thank you for giving your time to the interview. And with that, I would like to officially end the interview.
Thank you for inviting
Viewers,
me.